Good evening, friends. My name is Kush. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So, I'll be talking about how to improve our communication skills today. This would be my first video on YouTube. Thereby, I would consider videos pertaining to current affairs or either developing a new skill, or it might also be with respect to a few courses or any other news or any other hot topic in the current market. Realizing how important communication skills is an ethical part in a corporate world because you have to interact with clients and you have to serve them in an efficient and professional manner. Thus, communication skills become an important skill set. Any company will obviously prefer a candidate who has immense professional skill set with respect to communicating and expressing his thoughts or views efficiently and appropriately. So, by efficiently, I mean that if you're getting a thought in your head or in your mind, it should be efficiently converted or transformed into words using a professional vocab or written down in words wherein the other person is able to understand what you want to convey. So let us look at on how we can improve our communication skills. So before I get on to the various methods or the various types of habits one should develop, I would like to discuss what communication skills are. So, communication is the process of transferring signals or messages between a sender or receiver through n number of methods. So, the n number of methods can be that you either do it through written words, wherein you write a written formal letter or informal letter to the other person, whereby the other person understands that what you're trying to speak or say. The second method can be spoken words, wherein you're trying to tell something to the other person through your speech. The third method can be non-verbal cues. So non-verbal cues can be your body language or your expression. So thus communication is the process of transferring your ideas or whatever you perceive into strong actions. It is also the mechanism we use to establish and modify relationships. So communication can be one thing which strengthens a relationship, or it can be another thing which weakens a relationship by a certain extent. So let us see how we can work on our communication skills. So I have listed down 14 methods as to how one should incorporate these skills in their interpersonal skill set. So let us get on with the first part of it. So the first factor in communication skills is having courage. So friends, I request all of you to have courage. By having courage, what I mean to say is you should be bold enough to put your views in front of the other person, irrespective of whether the other person would like your point or not. You should have the courage to take the lead in a conversation and put up your points upfront before the other person starts speaking. Be confident in knowing that you can make worthwhile contributions to the conversation. What is important or worthwhile to one person may not be to another and may be more to someone else. So, you shouldn't judge that this particular topic or this particular sentence or this particular thought of mine with respect to a given topic might be important for someone and might not be important for some given set of people. So, that does not matter. What matters is that you put your views, you put your skill set, you put your thoughts into words effectively and have courage to do that. So once you have courage, you overcome the knack of being silent, you become more interactive, and thus your communication improves. So I have two quotes here. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. So it is really important to overcome fear because fear is something which makes you hesitant, or it causes a hitch in you which might prevent you from expressing your original behavior. You get in life what you have the courage to ask for, right? So, as I mentioned, that have the courage to put in your thoughts and be confident while expressing your ideas or your beliefs. So, let us get on to the next factor. So, the next factor is practice. So, as we have heard the proverb that practice makes a man perfect, this very much applies here as well. The more you practice with regards to communicating with different kinds of people, the better you get. Developing advanced communication skills begins with simple interactions. So, let's say you interact with a friend, even interacting with him can improve your communication skills. This should be your thought. Communication skills can be practiced every day, right from your social to professional background. So, what does social and professional background mean is social background reflects your friends, your parents, or your society, and professional is something which you do at your office, right? So, even interacting with your clients is as important as interacting with your friends or your parents. So, it's really important that you inculcate or develop these practices in your daily life and start to get on with it as soon as possible. So, new skills take time to refine, but each time you use your communication skills, you open yourself to opportunities and future partnerships. So, let's say you communicated with a client and your communication was impeccable and really appreciative, outstanding for that matter. Thus, the client would obviously want to get along with you for further partnerships again in the near future. So, communication have a direct relation with words. So, the more you write or the more you practice writing, the easier it will be to inculcate that into speech. Thus, I request you all to start practicing communication. How do you practice communication? Is by writing what you want to say by the use of words. You're not defeated when you lose, you're defeated when you quit. So, there's a really inspiring quote that do not feel bogged down that you're not seeing any improvement or you're not getting to the standards you really want to. It really takes time to have impeccable communication skills. But yes, if you practice, if you work hard, it is certainly possible. Looking on to the next factor, we have eye contact. Friends, eye contact is one really important trait of having a good communication skill. So, what do I mean by eye contact? Is you're supposed to have direct contact with the person you're speaking to. Let's take an example in the picture shown here. So, you can see these two individuals are looking directly into each other's eye while giving a handshake and a gentle smile on their face. Thus, it indicates confidence and it also inculcates that you are respecting the other person and listening to what the other person is saying or telling. So, whether you're speaking or listening, looking into the eyes of the person with whom you're conversing can make the interaction more successful. As I mentioned, that looking into the eyes of an individual can have a drastic impact or can leave a lasting impression of you with respect to a positive background. Eye contact conveys interest and encourages your partner to be interested in you in return. Eye contact is more intimate than words will ever be. Sometimes we may not have the right vocab or we might feel that we're lost for words. So, in these situations, eye contact is something which will thoroughly boost your confidence and help you regain your lost words. Let's move on to the next factor. So, the next important factor is the use of gestures. Friends, gestures can be taken in two ways. So, these include hand gestures and face gestures. Make your whole body talk. When you use gestures, it inculcates or it symbolizes confidence. So there are two ways to using hand gestures. One is the negative hand gestures and the other is the positive hand gestures. So by suggesting you to use hand gestures, I am implying to the use of positive hand gestures. Positive hand gestures mean signifying, you can see in the picture mentioned below that he is reflecting to a particular situation or a particular topic by using his hand gestures, which can make the receiver more interesting or more active. The gesture should get larger as the group that one is addressing increases in size. So, when you're addressing a group of 3 to 4 people, you are expected to use minimal hand gestures, whereas when you're addressing a crowd or when you're giving a speech to an audience, you're expected to use gestures on a more often basis where people notice them equally. And as I mentioned, that small gestures can have a big impact and also create an impression on the receiver in a positive manner. So the next factor is mixed messages. So what does mixed messages mean? So mixed messages means that you are sending n number of messages which are contradictory in nature. So what do I mean by the word contradictory? So contradictory means that it is different in nature and you are confusing the person by sending messages of varying character or which have different traits. So by this the other person would not be able to understand what you really want to say and thus might end up understanding the unwanted part of your speech. Thereby it is really important to use the right mix of messages and convey them efficiently and professionally. So make use of words, gestures, facial expressions, and tone match. So these are four factors which are a part of your messages. So your words are messages, are speech. So your gestures are a sign of your body language. Your facial expressions again reflect your confidence. And your tone match is something which symbolizes your self-confidence. Disciplining someone while smiling sends a mixed message and is therefore ineffective. So, you are disciplining someone, so you're expected to have a decent look rather than smile. When you are scolding someone or when you're delivering a negative speech for that matter, a negative message, you're supposed to have a suitable look which is rather on the angry side but shouldn't smile or you shouldn't have a face by which the other person understands that you are just scolding or putting out a negative message for the sake of it and not serious. Thus, it is really important that you have a match between what you're trying to say and your facial expressions. So, when someone is giving you mixed messages, you're better off without them. So, because it might confuse you, it might mislead you, and you yourself might get confused, which is really undesirable. Thus, you should have the right mix of messages. So, the next very important trait of communication skill is your body language. Friends, body language speak more than your words and they reflect a part of your psychology as well. Body language can say so much more than a mouthful of words. An open stance with arms relaxed at your sides tells anyone around you that you are approachable and open to hearing what they have to say, thereby indicating that you are a person of a positive attitude and a temperament wherein you are welcome to helping people. Thus, having an open stance is something which everybody would like to see, and also you would be approached by people who want help or seek help. Thus, it is really important to have your chin slightly on the upper side and your shoulders slightly raised, and you have an open stance wherein your hands are put out to the side and you walk in a normal fashion. So, as you can see in the pictures mentioned here, so this man over here, he seems to be having his hands in the pocket, which is not desirable or not recommended, because having hands in a pocket indicates attitude, which is not desirable to the people who want to approach you or seek help from you. So this person over here, he seems to be putting his hands at the back and walking, which is again not desirable, which shows that you're not approachable or you do not have an open stance. So you see this person walking over here, he seems to be having his hands towards the side, his chin is up, his shoulders are on the upper side, and thus seems to be walking fairly normally, thereby suggesting that he has a positive mindset and amidst all, he is an approachable person. Body language speaks much more succinctly and honestly than mere spoken words. So, body language is something which brings out your true nature. You cannot fake your body language. Body language is something which comes as a part of the situation or which transforms with respect to your feelings or the current atmosphere. So that is something which happens in a few seconds of time, or you can say in a mere matter or in a mere short time. So the next factor is attitude. So the attitude you bring to communication will have a huge impact on the way you compose yourself and interact with others. Attitude is something which has a lasting effect on the people you interact with, because generally people like to interact with persons who have a positive attitude and are free-going in nature. Choose to be honest, patient, optimistic, sincere, respectful, and accepting of others. Be sensitive to other people's feelings and believe in others' competence. It's really important to respect the other person's success. You would want to appreciate that person and gain some respect, or you would want to gain a frame of positive mindset with respect to the other person's behavior. Thus, you can see a picture indicating that your attitude is like a window to the entire world. A positive attitude will help you leap forth, wherein you would have more people to interact with, a lot of positive things happening in your life, and there might be positive incidents which would really benefit you. Negative attitude will result only in hatred. Not many people would want to approach you, or you would fall short of ideas and lastly feel lonely. Thus, having or developing a positive attitude is really important in order to develop a professional communication skill set. A bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere without changing it. Thereby, you must and should change your bad attitude and transform it into something positive. So, the next important factor in communication skills are listening. So, listening is something which is really important when it comes to communicating. Not only should one be able to speak effectively, one must listen to the other person's words and engage in communication on what the other person is speaking about. So, what we try to understand by listening is that we listen in order to reply, which is thoroughly wrong. We must listen to understand and to process what the other person is telling, which in turn stimulates ideas into our minds, thereby reflecting our speech into words. Thus, we may be able to reply to the other person more effectively when we try to understand what the other person is telling by listening effectively. So, how do you listen effectively? Is by keeping quiet, remaining silent, and concentrating on the words of the other person. Avoid the impulse to listen only for the end of their sentence so that you can blurt out the ideas or memories in your mind while the other person is speaking. As I mentioned, that you must listen to understand and not listen to reply. So, listen and silent are spelled with the same letters. Think about it. Listening has a direct relation with silence. So, silence must be maintained when you are listening, and this would surely help you in giving out a perfect response by, as you have listened to what the other person has said, you would be able to relate better and come back stronger by giving out a response with respect to the other person's views or thoughts. So, what are the characters affecting active listening? So, some of the characters affecting active listening are hear content. So, hear the content effectively. Try to listen as much as the other person is telling. Do not miss out on any minute information as well, because they might be the deciding or the key topics which have a say in your final result. Hold judgment. Keep a hold on something which you feel that is incorrect or you contradict to something. Let the other person finish. Have silence. Listen to what the other person is telling. Once the person is done, you can put in your points and convince him on your viewpoints or your thoughts. Observe body language. So, one more important trait of active listening is observing the other person's body language. Make an active eye contact, as I had mentioned before, and maintaining a thorough posture which indicates that you're interested in the other person's views or thoughts is reflecting a positive body language. Signal interest. Signal interest is again that you are interested in what the other person is signaling, and you are respecting the other person's thoughts or views, and you're inculcating or grasping what the other person is trying to say. Lastly, you reflect on what the other person has said. You question him if you have any doubts or you would like to clarify anything. Later, you summarize your entire data which has gone into your mind and come out with a fantastic and a professional reply. So, the next trait is enunciate. So, what does enunciate mean? So, enunciation is the art of pronouncing words. So, speak clearly and don't mumble. So, you would want to speak the word clearly in the first shot rather than beating around the bush and making it really difficult for the other person to understand so as to what you really want to convey or you want to say. Thus, it's really important that you speak clearly and get it right the first time itself. If people are always asking you to repeat yourself, try to do a better job of articulating yourself in a better manner. If people say that, please repeat or pardon repeat to you n number of times, thereby it indicates that you are not pronouncing the words clearly or your pronunciation needs some fine tuning with regards to grammar, or it might be that the tone of your voice which is not suitable enough for the other person to understand. Enunciation is more than pronouncing words clearly, it's expressing them well too. Let's say you pronounce a word clearly but don't express it and do not use it in the right sentence. Thus, the other person gets confused as to what you really want to say, and he or she would really not understand what you are trying to reflect on and would get confused. So, this is an undesirable trait. What is expected is you must enunciate correctly and also express them well. Pr- pu- Punctuation is the art of dividing a written composition into sentences or parts of sentences. So, pronunciation can be practiced by dividing a very big word or very big sentence into shorter words or shorter forms wherein you pronounce each word correctly. Thereby, this will improve your pronunciation, or you could look on to various websites which explains as to how do you correctly pronounce a word and also explain their meaning. So the next trait is vocab. So you might have heard that many people believe that a strong vocab is something which is really required for developing a impeccable communication. I thoroughly believe that having a strong vocab helps you refine your mind, your speech or your thoughts into professional words which can be easily understood by the receiver. So people will judge your competency through your vocab. So the more stronger vocabulary you possess, you are meant to have a broader dimension of the English world, or you have a broader prospect of using professional words at the right place. If you aren't sure of how to say a word, don't use it. It so happens that we might not be sure on how to use a particular word in a sentence. It's better not to use it rather than using it at a wrong place. Improve your vocabulary by reading new words in a daily routine. You can read a lot of journals or a lot of articles or even a newspaper daily would surely help you improve your vocabulary. You can make a note of the new words, write down the meanings, and also learn how to pronounce them effectively and correctly. Look in the dictionary to help you learn how to pronounce a new word. So, vocabulary enables us to interpret and to express. If you have a limited vocabulary, you will also have a limited vision and a limited future. So, Jim Rohn says that having a limited vocabulary would not help you in any matter. Instead, it would have a limited vision and lead to a future which would be limited and not so exciting. So, the next factor is speech. Friends, speech is power. Speech is to persuade. Speech is to convert. Speech is to compel. It is to bring another out of his bad sense into your good sense. So, speech can become your power when you want to bring a negative thought or a negative word, you want to transform it to a positive sense. Let's say you have a negative feeling, but you want to express it into a positive trait or a positive behavior, you would want to do it with the help of speech. People will perceive you as nervous and unsure of yourself if you talk fast. It's important to maintain a uniform tone of speech or a uniform pace of speech which is equally and uniformly understood by all. However, be careful not to slow down to the point where people begin to finish your sentences just to help you finish. It shouldn't happen that people are helping you complete sentences. It should be such that you are going at a uniform pace wherein people are listening to you and you finish your sentences well within time before they help you finish them. So, the next trait of an important skill set, such as communication, would be your voice. A high or winny voice is not perceived to be one of authority. Your voice should be soothing, it must be continuous, it must have a modulation which is easily adaptable to and can be adjusted to. In fact, a high and soft voice can make you sound like prey to an aggressive coworker or make others not take you seriously. Thereby, you must maintain a uniformity of your voice. Shouting or speaking very softly will have a drastic impact on your colleague, or he or she might take you to be of a varying character and might not understand you thoroughly. Begin doing exercises to lower the pitch of your voice. Singing is a very good option which helps you practice this. Practice this after a period of time your voice will begin to lower. So thereby it's important to have a uniformity of your voice. The human voice is the most perfect instrument of all. So this is a quote which will surely help you work on your voice, develop some standards of authority wherein you are expressing your speech by a voice which is soothing, which is standardized, which is acceptable by all, and which is appreciated. So, the next factor is the art of timing. So, the art of timing can be an important trait when you talk about communication skill. Let's say that you're supposed to tell something, but you told the same particular matter at a wrong time. So, now the situation has led to a consequence such that the entire work team or your workforce at office is dejected or devastated because you have leaked out some particular information which was not supposed to be, and they are not accepting the fact that how did you do this. Thereby it is really important that you consider the time factor when you express your thoughts or when you are addressing a particular audience or a person. While some of their jokes might not be appropriate for the workplace, stand up comedians are certainly effective communicators. We have certain restrictions at office wherein we might not be able to crack all kinds of jokes or discuss all kinds of matters, wherein comedians are determined or are certainly effective communicators because their profession is to interact with people or let out their traits in a humorous manner. Comedians are able to host compelling 90-minute comedy shows because they have mastered the art of timing. They know what to speak and when to speak. They're able to take shows extending up to 1.5 to 2 hours only because they know how to keep their audience engaged and how to make them feel lively along with getting to interact with them. All great communicators are able to feel out their audience to determine when to move on to a new topic or when to reiterate an idea. So they thoroughly know that when to put out an idea into picture or when should they move on to a new topic because it might get too mainstream or it might get a little unfriendly or something which is not so exciting. That is the time when comedians consider that they must move on to a new topic and start something afresh. So the art of right timing. So the art of right timing in communication is really important, wherein you realize that what the correct time is, and then you let out your thoughts into words by having a right skill set which indicates professional communication skills. You got to trust in the timing. So initially you might feel that you are communicating things very secretly, or in a, I would say, in a more securitated manner, wherein you are imbibed within yourself. You're not free enough to decide what the correct time might be. So you might be reserved, to be more precise. So in those situations, you got to trust your timing and have calculated risks in saying out things which might turn good or bad depending on the situation. Thereby, it is really important that you master the art of timing in order to develop a professional skill set such as communication skill. Coming on to the last factor. So, the last factor before we wrap up the session would be honest feedback. So, what are the advantages of honest feedback? The advantages of honest feedback would be that you would realize how far you have gone into developing a professional communication skill, or how far you have improved from your previous attempts. You would also realize some scope for changes or fine tuning required by the other person, and also realize how you face off or how you put up yourself in front of others. As with most leadership skills, receiving honest feedback from peers, managers, and members of your team is critical to becoming a better communicator. If you regularly solicit feedback, others will help you to discover areas for improvement that you might have others overlooked. So, I would like to mention that every feedback matters. It is not that some feedback don't, some feedback do. It is on you how you take the feedback, whether in a negative manner or a positive manner. I would request you all to take all the feedback you receive in a positive manner. Try to take out some positive traits from the feedback you receive and work on the same in order to become or master your professional skill set, such as developing a good or a decent communication skill. So now I have a task at hand for you guys, wherein I request you all to comment below and give me a thorough honest feedback so as to how was my first video on YouTube. Would you require or suggest any changes in my way of explanation or the way I put up things? Or do you feel it's fine, decent, good enough? I would request all of you to comment in the below comment box and let me know. Or I would request all of you to be as genuine and honest as possible. It's so important to reach out to people you trust and you who give you honest feedback. As I mentioned that you would want to target a set of people whom you know and they would give an honest feedback. So those are the people you would like to interact with, and you would target them in order to obtain a honest feedback. So thank you friends. That is it for today's video. So I would request all of you to share the video as much as possible. Share it across all your groups, your friends, or even communities. You could post them on your social media. I would request all of you to subscribe to my channel in order to get notifications with regard to any new videos which I upload. Thanks for watching the video. Last but not the least, I would request all of you to like the video and support the channel as much as possible. Thank you friends. Only this much in this video. Thanks a lot. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the next video. Bye until then. Take care. Have fun. Stay safe.